Last week, the police reported 4 deaths by suicide in the Kampala metropolitan area. An investigation into one of the deaths revealed that the victim had cancer. All 4 cases were male, and from what we now know, 2 of the victims were formerly employed, one as an ICT specialist and the other a businessman.
There is also a suicide by hanging that is under investigation, also happened yesterday. The Katwe police station is investigating one Gudo Yunus. This gentleman makes chapati and sells them, but he was found hanging at Ndeje.
The police continue to investigate, but one would wonder why this information is important. According to Dr. Richard Balikowa, a lecturer at the Makerere University School of Psychology, suicide and suicidal tendencies stem from our state of mental health.
It combines the emotional, the psychological, and the social well-being of an individual. Now, if these 3 dimensions of the mental are working well, it is how and why we see someone acting in an unexpected way.
The World Health Organization report of 2023 indicated that suicide was the 4th leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds in 2019. Also, that 77% of the global suicides occur in low and middle-income countries. Dr. Balikowa says suicidal tendencies in some instances are traced to one's genes.
It is possible that someone is born with destructive tendencies. These are people that, in case of any frustration in their life, however small you, the external person, will think it is, the person will think of destroying. Some of them are destructive outwardly, so they can attack other people, or they can destroy property. But we also have those that have inward. They go for self-destruction, regardless. These are some of the people who, even if you have removed all potential objects that can support their suicide, they may end up even pulling out their own throat.
He says many people harbor suicide ideations as a result of the environment and failing to adapt to these changes despite the social and economic status.
So they fail to in case of frustration, there's something they wanted to achieve. It is either taking long or they have no hope of achieving it. They need something, they think they need it or they want it, or somebody has frustrated them, or some of them even react to environment, to weather.
If you come from the different cultures, I remember when I was a child, one of the people drowned in the lake, and when they got the body out, they stroked the bat. They beat it up by 100 strokes of the cane. The law, still says, suicide is a crime, but it is part of a mental illness. So what happens is, what the society needs to do is be your brother's keeper, be a shoulder to cry. And when someone tells you about it, I think pay attention.
If someone harbors those suicide ideations, but when in a way of how they carry themselves, they do what we call internalizing. Everything that they are suffering psychologically is kept to themselves. And so they keep thinking about it and etc. without letting it out. Those ones are more dangerous and they are more at risk.
Dr. Benedict Akimana is a psychiatrist with Butavika Hospital. He describes some of the signs that you could use to tell that someone could be in the process of attempting to take their life.
Usually, people who are actually going to attempt suicide, in one or the other, you see them starting to isolate themselves, or they be irritable, they start talking about it, they tell you, they're tired of being alive, nothing's going to work for them. You see the person starts organizing things, as they're preparing, and they will talk about it. They tell you, what, I'm tired of living.
What makes you happy? Is it eating? Is it cooking? Is it soccer? Is it sports? Is it games? Is it music? What excites you? Now, if this person is no longer interested in what should be exciting them, that could be a sign that they are degenerating into the depressive tendencies. Others can even lose concentration. They can lose sleep. or the other way around. Others can turn very irritable.
Dr. Akimana says suicide is a psychiatric emergency and a sign of depression that requires urgent treatment.
For any mental health disorder, you have the biological, psychological, and social aspect. Biological, if it's because of suicide, depression, the chemical is reduced, the serotonin, there's medicine to do that. But the psychosocial aspect is you have therapy sessions, you want to wonder, how did we get there? How do we help this person? Because it involves the community, the relatives, and the family, so that we help them. So you work through with all of them.
There are no studies on suicide in Uganda and most parts of the world, but 80 member states of the World Health Organization have good quality data that can now be used to estimate suicide rates. Dr. Balikowa says the available data shows that men, more often than women, commit suicide.
There is evidence that more women harbor suicide ideations compared to men, but more men actualize the suicide than women. So men are expected to act as men, and how should a man act? He should not be a coward. So in case you face frustration, you're not supposed to shout out. When you shout out, that is a sign that you're not man enough. Now, because of that, these daily stressors that they go through are harbored in them, and in the end of it all, they fail to accommodate and to cope with these pressures.
Suicide is a serious public health problem. However, they are preventable with timely, evidence-based and often low-cost interventions. Both Dr. Balikowa and Akimana highlight the importance of society in prevention.
A proportionate distribution of basic needs would not leave the greater population struggling. So awareness is key, but we need to start from knowing that what is causing these issues mainly is because what someone would have considered basic is actually stolen.
Dr. Hafswa Lukwata, the Acting Assistant Commissioner for Mental Health and Control of Substance Abuse at the Ministry of Health, says government is working towards increasing the number of health workers to specifically handle mental health.
The health facilities are open, they are there. We have trained healthcare workers to be able to identify these people. Only that the numbers are still small, but we have specialized facilities in the regional referral hospitals.
Every suicide is a tragedy that affects families, communities, and entire countries and has long-lasting effects on the people left behind. Experts have urged countries to develop or strengthen comprehensive suicide prevention strategies in a multi-sectoral public health approach to raise awareness about the problem. Walter Mwesigye, NTV.